The movie starts with our main character, Lizzie, hiding in her room. Her dad is banging hard on the door and Lizzie is very scared. She runs to her bed and hides under it. Her dad forces the door open and she sees his feet approaching the bed. Black liquid keeps dropping from where he is standing as if he is bleeding. Then, he frightens Lizzie by bending down and screaming at her, his face filled with black lines brimming with goo-like liquid. The next scene shows her and her mom, Carrie, traveling back to their home. Lizzie has always been living with her dad after their parents' separation. He passed away mysteriously, and now her mother is taking her back in to live with her and her sister Jo. Her mom is trying her best to be lively for her daughters, assuring them that despite the recent passing of their dad, they should be there for each other. Carrie tours her around the house and then gives her some snacks. Lizzie sees the mover guy carrying the mirror she had when she was still living with her dad. Her memory of her dad's strange actions before his passing flashes in her mind. Lizzie asks Jo if she can talk to her about something, as if trying to open up to her estranged sister. Jo tells her she can talk to her about anything. She mentions that they can talk as she gets ready for tonight. Lizzie looks around and sees the gown hanging on the side. Her sister is going to the seniors' ball. This doesn't sit well with Lizzie, especially just after their dad's passing, and she walks away. Lizzie gets up to her room, and whenever she sees a mirror, an ominous feeling embraces her. Her mom brings her some of her boxes and asks if she is okay. She tells her she is not, as she feels that everyone around her is acting like she is some broken, depressing charity case getting in their way. Her mom assures her that they want her here. That night, she sees her sister getting picked up by her boyfriend, Mike, for their ball. When she returns to her room, she notices that the mirror's cover has fallen. She approaches the mirror, looking at her own image, and then walks away to unbox her stuff. Unbeknownst to her, her image in the mirror doesn't move, as if it were a totally separate being, existing within the mirror. It keeps looking at her and smiles, while black lines appear on her face. She is about to take a bath when her mom gives her a welcome home gift. Moments later, Jo arrives home with her friends to have an after party. Jo finds her in the bathroom and invites her to join them, trying to reconnect with her sister, but Lizzie declines. As her mother is helping Jo and her friends get settled for their party, another visitor comes. It's her friend Deborah, who brought her some wine, inviting her for a girls' night. Lizzie finishes her bath when she hears strange noises coming from one of the rooms. She opens the door only to find her sister's friends, Jane and Travis, making out. They shout at her to get out, and this frightens Lizzie. She runs back to her room, crying. She sees the mirror and notices a black substance seeping from it. When she looks into it, she sees her dad in front of her, filled with the substance in his face and trying to reach her. This freaks her out and she screams, which Jane hears from the other room. She tries to talk to her dad as he looks like he is in pain. He asks him how he can help him. Her dad reaches out his hand and he reaches back. Suddenly, black liquid pours out on her hand and she feels pain upon touching him. Jane is on her way downstairs when she runs into Carrie and Deborah. She asks them if they heard a scream, and Carrie immediately worries about Lizzie, so she rushes to her room. Lizzie is trying to take her hand off the mirror, but her dad doesn't seem to want to let go. It is until he notices that someone is approaching that he lets Lizzie go. Carrie and Deborah find her slumped on the floor and sees that Lizzie's hand is bleeding. Carrie asks her if she hurt herself, but Lizzie denies it. They take her downstairs to tend to her wound. Downstairs, Jo and her friends are having fun when they see what happened to Lizzie. Travis also comes into the room and starts being annoying, so Mike takes him outside. Jo tries to comfort her sister. Lizzie sees a mirror behind Jo and catches sight of a horrifying creature in the mirror, looking right at her. She feels terrified and walks away back to her room. She looks at the mirror again and sees her dad vomiting the black substance. She gets a bat and tries to destroy the mirror, convincing herself that it's not her dad. The mirror doesn't break at all. She sees her beloved dad reaching out asking for help again, and she can't resist. She reaches out both of her hands and suddenly, her dad grabs onto her. A sinister smile creeps up on his face, and then a black substance starts crawling onto her. The substance crawls into her eyes, nose, and mouth, and then she falls. Seconds later, she gets up, but it's no longer Lizzie inside her but another entity. Travis and Mike are arguing outside about Travis's ignorant behavior. Travis walks out on him and enters the house again. He runs into Lizzie, or whoever it is that is using Lizzie's body. He notices the change in her demeanor but gets curious to know this new girl. Lizzie invites her deeper inside the house where a minibar is. Carrie is so worried about Lizzie. Deborah convinces her that she should talk to her daughter. Carrie agrees and heads to Lizzie's room, but gets no answer when she knocks. Then, she notices that their Wi-Fi router has been destroyed, entirely losing their connection as reception is scarce in their area. Travis follows Lizzie and explores the minibar when he sees a mirror. In it, he sees the real Lizzie calling out for help. He gets freaked out as he looks back at the Lizzie behind him and notices the black markings on her face. She's about to attack him, but Deborah suddenly appears, telling Lizzie that her mom is looking for her. Then, she gets a bottle of wine. Travis enters the living room, expressing concern that something is seriously wrong with Lizzie, claiming she doesn't seem human. Carrie arrives and gets irritated by Travis's comments, also blaming him for damaging her router. They all check their phones and confirm there's no Wi-Fi connection. Lizzie follows Deborah into Carrie's room. She is trying to freshen up, but Lizzie will not leave her alone. Lizzie then steps closer to Deborah, and then suddenly her face opens up, revealing a hideous creature. Deborah screams, and in a matter of seconds, blood seeps through the bathroom door. After attacking Deborah, Lizzie casually changes into Carrie's dress and puts makeup on. She looks in the mirror, satisfied that she finally obtained a body. The real Lizzie keeps banging on the glass, begging to be freed. Carrie looks for Lizzie and finds her wearing her dress. She awkwardly compliments her look and expresses that they should have a real talk about their current situation. Lizzie invites Carrie to her room. As they are talking, Carrie notices blood on her neck. Lizzie starts feeling unwell. It seems that the real Lizzie is doing things inside the mirror that are affecting her. Then, Jo knocks on the door. She tells her mom that Travis needs a ride home as they cannot book a ride due to the lost connection. Travis is trying to get a signal outside but is unsuccessful. He sees the barn and walks into it, still trying to get a reception. Lizzie follows him, and he instantly hides upon hearing her, knowing she isn't human. Unfortunately, Lizzie finds him and attacks him, sending him to his demise. The real Lizzie witnesses as the monster devours him. In the house, Jo screams when she finds Deborah. Her face has completely been mangled. She gets her mom, who instantly mourns her friend. She gathers everyone in the room and gives instructions. She thinks Travis is the culprit of this horrible crime. She tells everyone that they need to find Lizzie and makes up a plan to escape using her car. They split up to search the house for Lizzie. Nora hears someone screaming in the living room and finds everything thrashed. Then, they see Lizzie crying with black liquid running down her face. Then, Lizzie stabs Jane right in her head, ending her life. Nora is in shock, discovering that Lizzie is the actual culprit. She immediately escapes and runs into Mike, telling him what she just discovered. Lizzie follows them and tears up the door aggressively while brimming with excitement. Then, her face opens up, revealing the hideous monster. In Lizzie's room, Carrie and Jo find the mirror where the word break is written. This puzzles them as it seems to have been written from inside the mirror. Jo follows her instinct and gets the bat to break the mirror. Every time she hits it, it hurts Lizzie's body. She immediately runs up to the room to check the mirror. Luckily, they hear Mike shouting for them to hide, and they do so. They get into a closet and see Lizzie walk in. Then, the real Lizzie inside the mirror shows, desperate for rescue. At this moment, Carrie and Jo discover that the Lizzie they are with is not the Lizzie they know. Carrie blames herself for what is happening to Lizzie, but Jo comforts her and assures her she is a good mother to them. Once Lizzie is out of the room, they run into Nora and Mike. Nora tells them they should go now, but Jo says that she is staying. She doesn't want to leave her sister and is set on breaking the mirror. Mike and Carrie decide to stay with her. They assure Nora that they will distract Lizzie so she doesn't follow her when she goes. Jo sends her off, but unfortunately, Lizzie chooses to follow Nora. Lizzie chases Nora as if she is chasing a prey. Nora hides behind a rock, and suddenly, Lizzie disappears. In the house, they discover that the mirror is not in the house. They conclude that Lizzie must have brought it somewhere else. They hear rustling in the house and think it's Lizzie, but fortunately, it's Nora, who managed to escape the monster. She mentions she saw where the mirror is, but then Lizzie shows up. They try to escape, but Nora gets injured. Knowing she can't outrun the enemy, she tells Carrie that the mirror is in the fields and tells her to go and leave. She hides in the garage, under the car, but eventually, Lizzie finds her and devours her. Carrie finds Lizzie and Mike and tells her where the mirror is. She tells her that she has to get her sister back, and the two of them should look out for each other. It's as if she feels that this is the last time they will be together, and is giving her last words. Jo and Mike head to the fields while Carrie stays in the house to distract Lizzie. She tries to talk to the real Lizzie, comforting her that she is not leaving without her, assuring her that she will always be there for her. This seems to affect the monster. It's as if the real Lizzie is fighting inside her. She gets weakened for a moment but recovers her strength and strangles Carrie. Jo and Mike find the mirror, but before they can break it, Lizzie finds them. Mike decides to distract Lizzie to give Jo time to break the mirror. She bids his last goodbye to the love of his life, before running head-on to Lizzie. Jo picks up the bat and hits the mirror, but it still isn't breaking. That's until she hits Lizzie and makes her bump into the mirror herself. Damage is seen in the mirror, and Jo runs straight to her to attack, but she gets pulled inside the mirror by the real Lizzie. Then, Jo pulls her sister out of it. Now that the mirror is broken, it also sets the monster free. Her name is Mira, and she comes for the sisters. They get back inside the house and find their mom, who is fortunately still alive. Jo decides to step out to find the monster, leaving Carrie and Lizzie inside. The power suddenly goes off, and Mira shows up, looking for them. Carrie hides, but Mira eventually finds her. Lizzie comes to rescue her mom and stabs Mira. However, before turning her attention to Lizzie, Mira snaps Carrie's neck, ending her life. Mira follows her into the fireplace outside. Jo arrives and calls Mira's attention. Mira attacks her, and Lizzie stabs Mira using a shard. This hurts her a little and pushes the sisters away. Lizzie decides that she has to end this once and for all. However, Jo decides that she will be the one to end it this time, not Lizzie. She runs straight to Mira, pushing them together inside the mirror. Lizzie screams and begs to take her instead, but it's already too late. Joe is already inside, together with the monster. Morning comes, and Lizzie is now all alone. She swears with her life that she will be coming to save her sister.